I've always thought when something really bad happens in our country, when shit hits the fan, I'd be able to tune around on my HF or my mobile radio and find some other ham that's reporting what's going on in his local area or maybe several states away. But lately, I've come to the realization that as a result of a gentleman's rule of not discussing politics, religion, or the news, most hams are just talking about radios, the weather, and our medications. Now, I don't think I'm the only guy out here asking why there aren't more hams that are practicing this art while times are good. We're not just going to all figure it out by osmosis when shit hits the fan and we really need this information. We don't rise to the occasion. We fall back to our lowest level of training. It's been proven time and time again. So let's talk about how we can use our radios to get information and intel of things of real importance when shit hits the fan. This time on K6UDA Radio. Let's do this. Before we get started, I want to ask you to hit that subscribe button and the bell notification right next to it. You know, about 80% of my viewers are not subscribed, and YouTube doesn't promote my content because they don't like this kind of talk. Also, if you give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment, you, my fellow radio geeks and preppers, can force the YouTube algorithm to get this content out to more like-minded people. And while you're at it, I'm closing in on 1,000 followers on rumble.com. I'd love it if you'd follow me over there and help me get over 1,000 followers. So I've been thinking to myself, how should a news net really work? You know, when conventional news sources fail, the internet goes down, cell phones are out, the confidence in our media dwindles down to absolutely zero, or things are just absolutely shuttered by the government. We still need a way to get news and information that's vital to our existence, to our everyday lives. Passing this information down the pipe, it's not a new concept, my friends. Aries and Racy's groups have been passing traffic for years, even down to the level of a final runner making a telephone call or knocking on somebody's door who's the recipient of traffic that needed to be passed along. So here's an illustration of how it can work. A ham in location X gets information that he deems newsworthy or intel-worthy. That ham wants or needs to disseminate that info to other hams, so he could start up an ad hoc net. He can use HF, UHF, VHF, GMRS, CB, it doesn't matter. He puts out the information as a situation report or a sit rep. Let's say he's going to do this on HF and he wants to put information out to his state and maybe neighboring states. Well, he could start up this ad hoc net and he could put out a sit rep or situation report on HF. Those net listeners, the people that are participating with him on HF, they then take that information and pass that along to their local groups on UHF, VHF, over, say, local repeaters. And they hit a local audience and they're disseminating that information. So then those regional listeners, they can pass that information along via GMRS, MERS, CB to a very super localized audience. That could be, 1, 2, or 3 blocks long. I'm calling this Guerrilla News Nets or Guerrilla Intel. It's much like how the internet completely changed the news landscape for network news. No longer are the big three the gatekeepers of all things news and information. Lots and lots of bloggers, vloggers, and smaller news networks have sprung up all over the internet. But what happens when that internet goes down and we can't get the information that we want or need from those sources? We'll be getting it from each other. That's how I see it. I've always said through my professional career that if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. So I'm putting my money where my mouth is. On Saturday mornings, I do a thing called the Southern Idaho Preparedness Net. I've started presenting weekly sit reps, or for better lack of terminology, a news story during those nets. There may be 1, there may be 10 news stories on any given weekend. And I'm hoping that this trend spreads. I mean, how cool would it be to be able to tune around the dial and find news and information coming from fellow hams, to find actual important information? It can actually be as simple as traffic reports, accident reports from your area, put out over local ham radio repeaters or GMRS repeaters for that matter. The more that people actually put the information out, and a lot of those things can actually just be put out as a QST. QST, this is K6UDA, and I've got information that there has been a major 50-car pileup on I-84 between Twin Falls and Boise. Avoid the area, stay off the freeway. It can be as simple as that. What could be some of the known obstacles that get in the way? And I know some of you snowflake hams that are just tearing your hair out or grasping at your bald heads right now. You're screaming, but part 97.113 says under prohibited transmissions, you cannot broadcast. So in order to get around this, we're doing a net. We're not broadcasting. We're asking for input. We're asking for fills, check-ins. We're establishing two-way communications. This isn't broadcasting into the blind. It's getting information out to fellow net members. Next, martial law, the possibility of martial law. Now, during World War II, the federal government or the FCC suspended ham radio, and so everybody put their ham radios away. I could see the FCC trying to do something like that again. And depending upon the circumstances, it may or may not be justified. I don't know. At this point, the way our government is being operated, I would say it probably wouldn't be justified. I would expect in the case of martial law, due to a civil war, societal collapse, the government would attempt to shut down all kinds of radio services for the purpose of controlling populations. At that point, those who want information will seek it out, and those that are willing to provide that information will adapt and overcome. Then there's jammers. If some of our news nets do get established, undoubtedly there will be some people with opposing views or just trying to create chaos that'll try to jam those transmissions. In those cases, the net control operators are going to need to figure out some kind of countermeasures. These countermeasures could include simply ignoring the jammer and continuing on, moving to alternate frequencies or bands, reconvening the net at a different time or on a different band, or even something I haven't thought of? Let me know in the comments what you think. The great underwritten rule of ham radio: no talk of politics or religion. This has been a long-standing gentleman's agreement so as not to upset the delicate sensibilities of snowflake hams. I'm sorry, if you don't like the conversation, spin the dial. So how can you, if you're thinking about it, start a news net? At some point, you just got to do it. Maybe it's just two of you talking and exchanging info at first. Trust me when I tell you this, someone somewhere has tuned into your little Guerrilla Net and they're listening. Chances are they've got something to add, something to say, or they have a question about something. So if you've decided to take this mission on of informing your friends, neighbors, community, ask for participation. Do it where and how you're comfortable. If you're not comfortable doing something like this on 20 meters with a worldwide audience, then do it on a small local repeater in your area. You could do your net on voice, you could do it CW, you could do it digitally. Now the digital modes offer something that other modes don't. It's the ability to read that information at your leisure. Modes like JS8 call enable nets to start up, and you could store and store and forward information to other stations. It's very, very cool. I'm just learning how to do it, but I could see this as a great way to set up a news net. It's also a very innocuous sound, doesn't attract much attention to the casual dial spinner, and nets like that would be very, very hard to jam. All right, guys, if you haven't already checked me out on Rumble, please go over there. Especially, I'm doing a lot of Rumble exclusive content. I'm doing the Southern Idaho Command 2A updates, and I'm hoping to get this down to like a daily thing, exclusive to Rumble. Won't be on YouTube at all. And like I've mentioned before, Saturday mornings, 9 a.m. Mountain Time, I'm doing the Southern Idaho Preparedness Net. You could get live on the net on one of the local repeaters here that carries it, or Wires X Room 40448, and even YSF Reflector 56026. It's the old YouTubers YSF reflector. Oh yeah, I live stream that here on YouTube and then post it over to Rumble later on. So anyway, guys, hope you got a little something out of it, a little food for thought. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you've got a better idea for any of these nets. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Anyway, I will catch you guys the next time. I'm Bob, K6UDA. I'm out of here, 7-3.